Welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly podcast featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from diverse perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 251, Punch the Clock. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I am the host. I'm here today in my home studio in Orlando, Florida. Welcome, friends, from wherever you may be joining us from. I'll tell you, we have not done a shout out in a long time. And it's really interesting that we've had several people who are Italian tell me they've been getting a lot out of the show. So to our friends in Italy, thank you for listening, sending you blessings and love all the way across the ocean. And we're wishing you good pasta today. So blessings on your spiritual journey. And friends, what I love about knowing that people are listening all around the world is that it shows the sameness really of us as souls. And it doesn't matter if you're on a different continent. I mean, we are all souls along this spiritual journey we call life. And I'm so happy to know that people around the world are being touched, they're being lifted and supported on their individual spiritual journey. So that makes me so happy. And honestly, it really inspires me to keep doing what we're doing. If I ever get a little frustrated, or if I ever think, is anybody listening? I get a note or I get an email or I get a gift or I get a new support and people are telling me, yes, we are enjoying it. Please keep doing these shows. So I can't tell you what it means to me because friends, we've passed another milestone. Today, April 10th, is Authentic Spiritual Journey's 251st show. This is literally show 251, and we welcome you into it. I remember when 250 shows was a goal, and we've surpassed it. So this is great. This is great. We're working on new goals now for the show and for the entire channel because we still have a lot of great shows that are on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This one here, Authentic Spiritual Journey, was the very first one. And I call it our flagship show. You know, it's the show that's kept the channel on the air. And now Dr. Donna and Monique McDonald, their shows have really taken off as well. Thousands of viewers and listeners there. So this is wonderful that you all are listening. And again, if there's shows we can do that will support you better, give us feedback. The shows I always have missed doing are the affirmations and the meditations. So let us know if you'd like us to bring that back. For a while, we had so many shows and I was just cranking them out that all of them weren't getting listened to, even though people said they loved them. But the affirmations I know were really supportive. So just give me a heads up on that. But anyway, friends, again, I am Cynthia Alice. Welcome to show 251. And the title for today's show is Punch the Clock. Punch the Clock. So what is this title about? Well, this is actually a quote from a dear friend who is a retired Unity minister and was in ministry for over 40 years. And he and I were leading a men's retreat together. And those of you who are laughing, yes, I co-led a men's retreat. I've done many of them, and I can't say enough about the incredible men I've been able to support along their spiritual journeys. But I was co-leading this retreat with Reverend Greg and my friend Fred Albers, who's also been on the show. Anyway, we were really digging deep because we were in prayer about making sure that the programs we had talked about were going to really support the men. And so there were times of meditation individually and times of prayer individually. And then we prayed as a leadership team together and meditated together. Well, anyway, we had a really deep experience the night before with the men. And the next morning, we were off doing our own individual work, and we were going to come back together to touch in before the men got to the opening session that day. And as I saw my friend coming in from outside, I said, "Oh, did you meditate outside?" He goes, "Yeah." And I go, well, you don't sound too excited about it. And he goes, well, I punched the clock. And I go, what do you mean? What do you mean you punched the clock? And he goes, well, honestly, I didn't feel like I got anything, but I just meditated anyway. I said, oh, I get that. In other words, you punched the clock. You did your time. And he goes, yep, 30 minutes. I punched the clock. He said, some days, as long as I've been meditating, some days I don't get anything. Other days I have these incredible experiences of light. I get feelings in my body. My head will feel like it's opening. I mean, I just get these incredible experiences. And other days, I just punch the clock. And I thought, oh, wow, aren't we all like that? Right? Aren't we all like that? That spiritually, sometimes it can feel like we aren't moving forward or nothing is happening, right? If we were in church, I'd say, raise your hand if you feel like nothing is happening. Right? But the truth is, there's always something happening. I think one of the key things that's difficult about the spiritual journey is that we can't always see what the spiritual work we're doing, how it's impacting. Like if you do pray, if you do meditate, you can't see something physical necessarily manifesting as a result of it. So we think it's not, quote unquote, doing anything. And I was just reminded as I was saying this of a great movie, and I'll put it in the show notes. There's a great movie called The Peaceful Warrior, and the book, it's based on a book by Dan Millman called Way of the Peaceful Warrior, or The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. But it's based on true events about Dan Millman's life, and it's an incredible movie, spiritual movie. Nick Nolte's in it. And the interesting thing about the movie is it really causes you to look at your spiritual journey in a different way. And there's a phrase where the spiritual teacher is showing the student. He always says, in the movie, the phrase is, there's never nothing going on. In other words, there's always something happening. Even though we can't see it always, we're not looking with the right eyes, right? So, back to the point for today, punch the clock. What does it mean? It means sometimes we feel like we aren't moving forward. We feel like even though we're doing journaling and meditation, and even though we're setting our intention in the morning and doing things like that, that nothing is happening. Now, I'm going to pause right here and say, we always think nothing's happening because that's the voice of the ego, right? That's the voice of the ego. That is the voice of the ego that says, well, I don't see anything happening, but there's always something happening. So the question becomes, okay, so, all right. So if you're saying, okay, I'm going to go with you on this. I'm going to believe there's always something happening, but what do I do when I can't feel it? And I'm going to say, well, punch the clock and do it anyway. Punch the clock, baby. Do the work anyway. Punch the clock. Do you ever feel like when you go into work, you just have to punch the clock? You got to be there. You got to show up. Same for your spiritual work, friends. You got to show up. You got to show up. And, friends, as much as I love the work I do as a minister, as a counselor, as a coach, many of you know, I do a variety of things. Like I have a lot of speaking events coming up. I just spoke in Orlando again last week. Next month, I have several speaking engagements in Pennsylvania. I'm going to be speaking at the Himalayan Institute. I'm going to be working with groups of healthcare workers, therapists, direct care staff. I'm going to be doing a lot of different things. But friends, even though I love my work, sometimes I feel like I have to just show up. Sometimes I don't feel like it. Sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes there's something going on. But I show up anyway. And invariably, every time I show up, something good happens. It is the same with your spiritual work. So even though you can't see it, show up anyway. Do the work anyway. Punch the clock. Show up. You know, a lot of times when there's well, at the church we've held raffles and different things like that, and one of the things we say is you got to be present to play. Friends, you have to be present to life. You have to show up. Half of life, friends, is showing up. Not even half. 90% of life is showing up, right? So even though you feel like nothing's happening, punch the clock. Do it anyway. When I can do this, when I can get up in the morning and begin the day with my journaling, when I get up and, start my day on the right foot by setting my intention, by doing my I am, by doing my gratitude work. As I begin to do that on a daily basis, what I know is I'm creating a place in consciousness that even though I can't see, every time I return there in my thoughts and in my soul, it becomes easier to go back there every single time, right? And the same is true about meditation, that I'm creating this place inside myself, and every time I meditate, it becomes easier to go back there. And as it's easier to go back there, it has more of an impact in my daily life. Because the idea, friends, with the spiritual work is not, oh, okay, I meditated, now I can say I did it. The idea of meditating, the idea of setting your intention, the idea of the morning pages that I have, the idea of those is to take the spirituality throughout every aspect of your life, not to just pause and do it a little bit. But the idea is that as you do it every day, whether you feel like it or not, as you do it every day, even if you can't see something happening, that you're building this house of consciousness, this spiritual vibe, this spiritual energy that pervades your life and world, then life begins to feel differently for you. You begin to feel more at peace. You begin to feel more at ease. You are less stressed. You're less likely to lose your temper. You are more likely to have space to listen to others. You're more likely to be non-reactive and more reflective on your spiritual journey. So even if you don't feel it at the moment, when it's time to pray and it's time to meditate and it's time to do your intention work, you will begin to feel it over time. So what I'm talking about in Punch the Clock, this show today, is really this implied trust in your spiritual work. This implied trust that as you dig deeper, as you do the work of your soul, that you will be guided, you will be prospered, you will be blessed. But it does take commitment. I saw something recently that really landed with me. First, you have to start with discipline to get to devotion. And that's what Punch the Clock is about. I don't really care how you feel about it. Do it anyway. I don't care if it's hard or you're tired. Do it anyway. Do the spiritual work you have been called to do. Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Even if you feel nothing's happening. And what keeps me going on the journey is when I keep at it, when I keep doing it, as I start to realize, oh my gosh, something that used to bother me doesn't even bother me anymore. Or I realize I have gone for a few weeks in this really great energy. There's been an energy of openness, of acceptance, of rich sharing with family and friends. I've felt in the flow in my finances. Just it's like, oh, life is working for me. Right? It's because I punched the clock. It's because I was doing it anyway, whether I felt like it or not. And, one of the things I've noticed with coaching people is and I have the privilege of working with some very successful people, successful in life and in the business world. And the most successful people are the ones that show up no matter how they feel, and they are continuing to try to grow past their limits, even if they already have a measure of success, say financially. They're still wanting to grow personally. They're still wanting to grow spiritually, and they're seeking greater integration with everything they're doing. But what separates successful people from non-successful people is that the successful people show up no matter how they feel. The successful people, in other words, when I'm saying success, they are financially sound. Their relationships are basically stable. They are giving to their community and their family. Their life has a degree of balance. As they continue to show up for themselves in their journey, it's never about how they feel. They show up anyway. And of course, like I'm saying, they have a measure of success. That's why they keep doing it. They have a measure of success. That's why they keep showing up. They have a measure of success. That's why they go, you know what? This spiritual stuff works. I just got through a really tough meeting with, 200 of my staff. And even though staff were frustrated, I was able to maintain my center. Even though my staff had some complaints, I was able to hear them with an open heart and be able to address them rather than being in this protective, egoic personality mode of trying to look like I know everything. Right? So these are the type of individuals I'm working with that are practicing these spiritual principles on a daily basis and finding a tremendous amount of success in their work and career life as well as their personal life. Because they're showing up for themselves and realizing if I don't show up and punch the clock, no one is going to do it for me. If I don't show up and do the work that's called for me to do, no one else is going to do it. And there's a great deal of satisfaction. There's a great deal of self-worth that comes from this because it's like this trust and belief that we're worthy to receive the good the universe has for us prompts us to get up and do the work. This idea that, oh my goodness, if I can just commit to this work, my life will begin to heal in ways I don't even know yet. So this is a big inspiration for me in my work, and I hope you're hearing this and being inspired to try to show up show up even on the days you don't feel like praying or meditating. And I'm saying even if it's just 5 minutes, do something to further your spiritual growth. Punch that clock. Show up for yourself. Show up for yourself. And as you get accustomed to doing it, you will find showing up for yourself becomes second nature. You won't have to push yourself to do it. As you keep showing up for yourself, as you punch the clock, even if it feels like something's not happening, guess what? Something begins to happen, right? And that's what keeps me coming back. You can probably hear in my voice, I have a huge smile on my face right now because I love those moments when something happens as a result of me showing up and showing up and showing up for myself and for my journey. So friends, this show is so you don't get discouraged because you can't always see what your spiritual work is getting you. If you don't have a daily practice yet, I want to encourage you to get one. Coming up later this month, I'm doing another one-night workshop called Accountability Partners. It's going to be to support people on their spiritual journey and in staying accountable. What I've discovered in my working with individuals is that it doesn't matter if you're retired, a stay-at-home mom or dad, or working as a CEO in the corporate world, we all need accountability to show up for ourselves. Many of us are accountable to others, but we're not accountable to ourselves and our own journey. So I want to help you with that. Yeah, coming up, I believe it's April 24th. Please check my website, CynthiaAliceAnderson.com, to confirm that. But I think this workshop could help you. There's no charge for the workshop. It's just a love offering. So I want to really encourage you to begin to do this deeper work of your soul, holding yourself accountable so that you can start to see the results of the deep spiritual work that you are longing to do. Some daily practice is going to support your spiritual growth and evolution. And friends, I love that you listen to the show. Listening to the show is great, but just thinking about it is not enough. There needs to be an action that you do to really start changing the feeling tone of your life, through changing your consciousness fundamentally. And how do you do that? You begin to source in spirit on a daily basis. You begin to set your intention. You begin to give thanks, to touch in with the universe about what is mine to do. You begin to affirm goodness for your life and for those around you and the world at large. So you begin to do deeper spiritual work. I want to encourage you. I want you to be encouraged to keep doing the work. Even if sometimes you get frustrated and even if it feels like nothing's happening, please show up for yourself. And when you hear the voice of the ego saying, I don't know, I don't see anything happening, I don't even know why I'm doing this, don't pay attention to that thought. Show up for yourself, knowing there's always something happening in consciousness. And that every time you give to yourself, every time you honor yourself, every time you believe you're worthy and show up, just punch that clock. And eventually, friends, you will see a change, a shift in tides. You will see a consciousness shift that you have longed for probably most of your life. I want you to know that you are worthy to receive this new consciousness. I want you to know you are worthy to believe in yourself and your work. So I want you to be disciplined in the spiritual work that you're doing, that work that is going to touch your heart and soul, that work that is setting your intention, that work that is doing your gratitudes, that you're touching in to get messages from the universe, taking care of yourself and doing those affirmations every single day. Punch the clock, do the spiritual work, because there's always something happening. And as you do this work, you will get new ideas, you will get new strategies to move forward. You will begin to enjoy life more. You will draw more joy to you. You will be more at peace, more at ease in your body and in the world, because you know you are connected to all that is. You are made from love. So, dear friend, thank you so much for joining me today. I want you to be encouraged. I want you to believe that you are worthy to receive all the good that the universe has for you. So please do that spiritual work on a daily basis. Don't give up. There's always something happening. The universe is always working on your behalf. So thank you for listening today, dear friend, and blessings on the journey.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2023, Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.
Hey friends, Sean here, your Experience of the Soul producer. I want to take a moment to tell you about something truly exciting. The Soulworks online community, created by your host, Cynthia Alice Anderson, and available on the Mighty Networks app. If you're looking for a place where you can explore your spiritual path, connect with others, and grow in a meaningful way, then this is for you. Soulworks is so much more than an online community. It's a safe, inclusive space for spiritual exploration, self-discovery, and personal transformation. Inside the community, you'll find everything from uplifting spiritual studies to soul-centered growth practices, meditations, affirmations, and so much more. It's a space where you'll always be supported and never judged. The best part, membership is free. You'll have access to powerful resources, inspiring content, and a supportive group of like-minded people who are all on their own unique spiritual journeys. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there are premium options available to enhance your experience with a live Monday night talk series and extended, deeper meditations. If you're seeking a place to connect, grow, and nurture your soul, we would love to have you join us in the Soulworks community and see where this journey can take you. Visit my.soulworkscommunity.com today.